Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're talking about the methods used to establish authoritarian states, and today's focus is propaganda. Now, just as a refresher, method in this sense is an action committed either by a person or persons as a way to accomplish a goal. We are highlighting specifically propaganda, which means information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. When we're talking about propaganda in this sense, we're really looking at how Hitler manipulated narratives, how Hitler manipulated and tapped into the conditions we talked about with economic issues, the social divisions, the weakness of political systems. How Hitler looks at all of the conditions and points to say, all of these things that are happening around us are the reason why we, the Nazi Party, is ideal. Now, the best piece of propaganda we're going to talk about for Hitler is honestly his most famous one, Mein Kampf. It's the only one we're really going to focus on today. So, Mein Kampf. Well, Mein Kampf was written in 1924 to 1925. As I mentioned in a previous video, this was written while Hitler was in prison. This was written while he had time on his hands from the failed overthrowing of the beer hall Putsch. So he starts it in prison, publishes it immediately afterwards. Now, when he publishes it afterwards, he really taps into everything that he feels and tries to get as clear as he is on what he stands for. So this book is both a autobiography or a personal diary, if you will, and a manifesto and a thesis, a full written story of not only where we got to or how we got to the broken Germany we have, but how to fix it. And inside of Mein Kampf, we're going to focus on 5 key points here, 5 of the overarching narratives. The first one, Hitler believes that the conviction that politics was dialectical, a bitter struggle between inconceivable opposites. So essentially, what he is saying is that politics, and any sort of politics, regardless of the political party or regardless of the political notion, is that it is a fight. It is a fight between 2 people, 2 or 3 people, that no matter what, we'll never see eye to eye. That no matter what, we'll never come to an agreement. We'll never come to some sort of medium ground. That politics will always be a fight. And so what he's trying to say with that is, because politics is always a fight, I'm not in it for the politics. I'm not in it for being a famous politician. I'm in it to fix the country. So I don't care about politics, and I don't care about other aspects. The only thing that matters to me is that Germany is united. And what he's saying here, as you're going to see later on, is that the existence of different political parties, the existence of political debates and political positions is useless. What Hitler is saying is that we do not need political parties. We do not need this division in society. It's just making it worse. Point 2. An unshakable belief in Germany's destiny as the great Aryan nation to destroy Jewry and seize the Slav lands in the east. So what he is saying here, part of it is pretty clear, the other part is a little confusing. He believes that Germans all come from one specific geopolitical nation called the Aryan nation. Blonde hair, blue eyes, but also just ethnically German, which isn't always blonde hair and blue eyes, right? Germans can look like me. Germans can look like some of you guys. But what he is referring to, specifically when he's talking about the Aryan nation, is those whose blood comes from Germany. So it's not that you look German. It's not that you have blonde hair and blue eyes. It's that you come from German blood, that you come from German heritage. Doesn't matter what you look like. It matters what your bloodline is. And he wants to destroy Jewry, which all of that comes down to the Protocols of the Elder of Zion, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, and destruction of the Slav lands in the east. What he is saying there is the destruction of the Soviet Union. Slav is a ethnicity of people who come from the Slavic nations. And some of the Slavic nations are Bulgaria, Serbia, Montenegro, Romania, Bulgaria, Ukraine, Russia, Georgia. All of those are Slavic nations. And so he wants to go and destroy the Soviet Union. Which perfectly ties to the next bullet point, which I don't really have to explain. A passionate hatred for communism, right? Because again, as we see and as we've heard and as we've discussed, to Hitler, communism and the Jewish conspiracy are the same thing. They're one and one. Bullet point 4. A belief in the power of the state as a central social organization. So what he is saying here ties back or harks back to the first bullet point of the fact that political parties are a waste, that we don't need them. We just need everyone who is pro-German to support Germans. But what he is saying here is he's finishing the thought that he's expressing in the first point. What he is saying here is we shouldn't have political parties. We shouldn't have political discussions. There should only be one party. There should only be one government. There should only be one centralized group of people working. He's essentially expressing that he doesn't want opposing political views. He doesn't want different people from different things. He wants one group of people, and preferably that one person on top, which is him. A lot of what he's expressing is the destruction of every form of democracy, that we need to get rid of it all because it's useless and people can take advantage of it, which is kind of funny because that's exactly what he's doing. And the last one is the conviction that women were subordinate to men and should not engage in politics. Hitler really took a strong stance on women. And in Mein Kampf and his propaganda, he always relegated women to conservative roles. And the reason for this is because at the time, Weimar Germany, the government after World War I and before Hitler, was very sexually open. They gay marriage was legal, trans rights were existent, people could be trans, people could legally be married, sexuality was open and free. And so what Hitler is saying is like, no, that's the problem in society. That's why we're so broken as a country, because we're allowing people to be in these relationships. So he takes a moment and really tries to tap in on and blame more people on the failures of the country. So just in this quick little snippet of Mein Kampf, he's attacking every political party except for his own. He's attacking communism. He's attacking anyone who's not German. He's attacking anyone who believes in democracy. And he's attacking all LGBTQ plus and women. It is a very passionate book that he wrote, and unfortunately was very popular. And it was very popular because what he was doing was he was reaching out to all the extremist groups that may not fully believe in Nazism, but they believe in half of this, 75% of this. And he's tapping into all these groups, trying to unite the right, as a form of manipulating the narratives and manipulating conservatism. And anyone who's on the right side of the political spectrum to agree with him on one form or another. And that's how he starts building up his propaganda. This tool, this book, was specifically written so that if you were wealthy, you didn't like the communists. If you were middle class, you liked the fact that politics and a central government should be together. If you were nationalists, you're talking about Germany's destiny and the role of women. If you were rural areas, if you're talking about seasoned lands in the east, that's very rich rural farmland. So each of these points is specifically targeting one particular group of person so that they all eventually come towards Hitler. And let's dive a little bit into some of his quotes. We're going to look at 2 quotes from his book. The first one: to what an extent the whole existence of the people is based on the continuous lie is shown incomparable by the protocols of the elders of Zion. So infinitely hated by the Jews, they are based on a forgery. The Frankfurter Sitzung moan and scream once a week. The best proof that they are authentic? For once, this book has become the common property of a people. The Jewish menace may be considered or broken. So even the fact that the white emigres brought the fake document of the protocols of the elders of Zion, and even with people trying to express that these are fake documents, that these are forgeries, Hitler is specifically saying, no, they're not. Do not listen to them. Look at the way he writes it, moans and screams. That he goes on to argue that, no, the Jews are really trying to take over. And it's very, very upsetting. Later on, he says, for a racially pure people, which is conscious of its blood, can never be enslaved by the Jew. In this world, he will forever be master over bastard and bastard alone. So Hitler is carefully manipulating by saying, don't listen to people who say that these documents are lies. Don't listen to things like that, because we need to focus on being racially pure. We need to focus on stopping a menace. We need to focus on stopping the communists. Because remember, in Hitler's ideology, in Hitler's book, communists and Jews are exactly the same. They're tied together. So throughout his book, it's very structured on attacking each person. And as he's attacking, you're slowly becoming more and more radicalized as you read through things like this. Through the small use of words, the small use of terminology, the careful manipulation of narratives that are fake, that are a lie, that doesn't matter to Hitler. Hitler's going to manipulate the lie even larger.